Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about key signatures. We're going to be talking about what key signatures are, where they came from, how to figure them out, and what to do with them. So the first thing we need to do is talk about what a key signature is. So in most music, we're not using all of the notes on the piano. We're limiting it. We're squishing it down and only using a few notes. So in the key of D major, for example, I would use D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Those are going to be the notes in my key. I'm not going to worry about any of the other notes. This note or that note, they don't belong in the key of D. Now we could hypothetically write in the sharps every time we wanted to play an F sharp or every time we wanted to play a C sharp, but that would take up a lot of extra ink and space, and it could become a little confusing for the performer. Instead, we use a key signature. We put the two sharps that fit into the key over here on the left side of the staff, and now we know that every F and every C in the whole piece is going to be an F sharp unless otherwise notated, no matter what F or C it is anywhere on the staff. So if I play it down here, still a C sharp. If I play it up here, it's still an F sharp. So the sharps and flats in the key signature are always going to follow the order of sharps and the order of flats. Now, if you don't know what that is, you can check out my video on the circle of fifths or on major scales, and I talk about that more in depth there. What you need to know is that the order of sharps is F, C, G, D, A, E, B, or as I like to say, fat cats go down alleys eating bananas. Or you can go with the order of flats, which is just the opposite of the order of sharps, which is B, E, A, D, G, C, F. Or as I learned growing up, bead, glass, cuts fingers. Some people say bead, greatest common factor. But however you remember it, that's the order of sharps and flats, and that's always the order you're going to see these in the key signature. Once you have the key signature there, then it becomes really easy to figure out what key you're in as long as you can read the key signature. Now, learning to read the key signature can be a little time consuming, especially if you're just memorizing everything, but who wants to memorize things? We have some tricks. So let's start with the circle of fifths. The circle of fifths is one of the easiest ways to figure out key signatures because all of them are laid out there right in front of you. Each spot to the right on the circle adds one sharp to the key signature, and each spot to the left adds one flat. As long as you know the order of sharps and flats, you've already got all of your key signatures right here for you. If I look at a piece of music and the key signature says two flats, then I just go start from the top, count over two spots. I'm going to be either B flat major or G minor. Now, as long as you have a circle of fifths in front of you, this is super simple, very easy. I don't know about you, but I don't always carry around a circle of fifths with me. So when you don't have a circle of fifths, sometimes you need to have a different way of figuring out your key signature. There are a couple of quick tricks to doing this. First one is with sharps. So if I have a key signature with sharps in it, if I go to the last sharp in the key signature, it's going to be 1/2 step away from the tonic of the key. With a flat key signature, I'm going to go to the second to the last flat, and that's going to tell me what the key is. So if I have 3 flats, I go to the second to the last flat. That is E flat, and I know I'm going to be in the key of E flat here. That's a great trick to use, but also, why does it work? So to explain this, I'm going to go back to the circle of fifths just to show you why this actually works. So if we take a look at the circle of fifths and we think of all of the letters as individual notes, not scales or chords, we're going to see that all of the notes of the major scale are there, just not in ascending order. We're going to use G major as our example. So G would be the tonic of the scale. So G right here would be my first scale degree. One spot over to the left is my 4th scale degree. To the right, I've got my 5th scale degree, my 2nd scale degree, my 6th scale degree, my 3rd scale degree, and lastly, the 7th scale degree. Now, if you remember how the circle of fifths is set up, every time we go one spot to the right, we're going to add another sharp. So in this key, that 7th scale degree is F sharp. Well, that's also the first sharp in the order of sharps. If we were to change to D major, we would shift one more, and C sharp would be our new 7th scale degree, and that's going to be the next sharp in the order of sharps. So why this matters is that the last sharp in the order of sharps in our key signature is always going to be the 7th scale degree. It's always going to be T, and that means the tonic is always going to be 1/2 step above the last sharp. So in the key of G, F sharp is my last sharp. 1/2 step above that is G, and that's going to be my tonic. This also explains why the flats work. Let's go over to the key of A flat major. So we can set up the scale the same way. So A flat is going to be my tonic. If I want to know all the notes of that scale, I have to use the spot just over to the left, or just counterclockwise right here. That's going to be my D flat, and then A flat is my tonic. And then I've got E flat as my 5th scale degree, etc., etc. And again, think of this in terms of the key signature and the order of flats. So every time I move over one spot to the left or one spot counterclockwise, I'm adding another flat. Well, what's the tonic? It is not the last flat, it's the second to last flat. It's not the last flat on the circle, it's the second to the last flat. And so when I look at a key signature that has flats, I'm not going to look at the last flat. That's going to be my 4th scale degree. I'm going to take a look at the second to last flat, and that's going to tell me what the tonic of the scale is. Let's take a look at a piece of music. This piece of music right here has 6 sharps. If you look at the last sharp in the key signature, it's E sharp. E sharp is 1/2 step down from F sharp. We are in the key of F sharp. We can check that on the circle of fifths. If I go to the circle of fifths and I check the spot that has 6 sharps, it is indeed F sharp major. If I put a new piece of music up here, this one has 5 flats. So if I look at the last flat is going to be G flat, but I don't care about that one. That one's going to be the 4th scale degree. The one I care about is the second to last flat, and the second to last flat is D flat. So we're going to be in the key of D flat. And again, to check this on the circle of fifths, if I go to my circle, go to the spot with 5 flats, I'm in the key of D flat major. So far we've only been talking about major keys, but let's take a minute to talk about minor keys. There are a few tricks to help us out with minor key signatures as well. When we're talking about keys and key signatures, we can talk about the minors in 2 different ways. We can talk about parallel minors and relative minors. Relative minors are the minors that share the same key signature with the major key, but they're going to have a different tonic. And to figure out these, all you have to do is count up to the 6th scale degree of the major key. So if I'm in the key of C major, I just count up 6 scale degrees, C, D, E, F, G, A. I end up on A. I know that A minor will have the same key signature as C major. For the parallel minor, that's a little bit different, and again, we're going to go back to the circle of fifths. So on my circle of fifths, the outside are all the major keys and the inside are all the minor keys. If you look closely, the outside of the circle and the inside of the circle are related. They're basically the same thing. The only difference is that the inside of the circle has been rotated 3 spots. So on the outside of the circle, A major is over here in the spot of 3 sharps. On the inside of the circle, A minor is up at the top with 0 sharps and 0 flats. The cool thing about this is that we're really just adding 3 flats. We're just adding 3 flats to the key signature to get the parallel minor. So if I take C major and I add 3 flats, I end up with C minor. For the keys that have sharps in their key signature, I can still add the 3 flats, but every time I add a flat, it's just going to cancel out one of the sharps. So say I'm in the key of E major. E major has 4 sharps. If I add 3 flats to that, each one of those flats cancels out one of the sharps, and I end up with 1 sharp for E minor. Once you can figure out the key signature, it's like you're in a new town and somebody just handed you a map. You know what key you're in, you know what notes you're dealing with, you know what chords are going to fit into that key, and you can just start making music. It's a really great skill to have, and I hope that some of these tips have helped you to figure it out quicker and easier. If this has been helpful to you, please check out my other videos and subscribe because I got lots more music theory pro tips coming your way.